And welcome back, everyone, to the Chatooine Show, the best and brightest Star Wars show in the galaxy, filled with the wretched hive of scum and villainy. We're here every Wednesday night talking about all things Star Wars. I'm Star Wars Only, joined with Lunga and Palp Memes. And in today's show, we'll be discussing the Tales of the Jedi series that released in 2022, and with the Tales of the Empire series releasing in, I think, 10 days from today. What better time to talk about Tales of the Jedi? But before we start the show, please leave a like if you're enjoying this nonsense. Subscribe if you're new here, and you can follow us on all our social media accounts in the description below. And if you really want to support the show, we're launching channel memberships very soon. Within this next week, we'll have a couple tiers that you guys can check out, with each having their own little perks and benefits and everything. So stay tuned for that. But let's get into good old Tales of the Jedi. This came out in 2022. Lunga, I believe me and you watched this when it first dropped. Palp Memes, you avoided this for now 2 years. And I don't think the audience doesn't know this. You spammed me the other night, I believe it was last night, with takes on this show. I will admit I was sleeping from a long day of 2 jobs and everything. So I woke up in the middle of the night seeing your hate for this show. So, because me and Lunga's initial reactions to the show was 2 years ago, what was your initial reaction to seeing that? Yeah, that's exactly, yeah, that's what I woke up
right
to.
there. Yeah, I'm not a Dave Filoni hater. I've never been a big fan of the Clone Wars. Even as a child, I just couldn't really get into it that much. My initial take started off with episode 1 of this show, and rumor has it at Star Wars Celebration in 2022, I believe that, what was it? Was it Los Angeles or was it Anaheim, California?
It was Anaheim, yeah.
Anaheim, California.
I remember, I was there.
You were there. You remember. Rumor has it that Dave Filoni was on stage and they actually played episode 1, and it was actually a ritual, a cult ritual, and it awakened something in Anaheim, California, something very dark. And that is because this episode showed the birth of the one and only, the queen of Star Wars, right? Ahsoka Tano. And I did avoid this show. It was not simply out of hatred or anything. It was simply that I watched the trailer. I wasn't interested. I was already kind of down on Star Wars anyways. I was like, eh. But of course, last night at 10 o'clock, I had to watch this thing, and I wasn't surprised one bit. Now, let me get to the positive. Let me get to the negative. On the positive, I did find the Count Dooku episodes. They intrigued me. At the very least, they intrigued me. They had some moments of spark where I was like, okay, I like that. I've heard that it's basically based on the Dooku Jedi Lost book, which I could tell a lot of it was from that. And so getting from this, I think I should read that book. Another positive is the cinematography for this show is beautiful. It's phenomenal. The cinematography was great. And I got to give props and credit because I've always said Dave Filoni is a fantastic artist. He's great at what he does when it comes to the visuals of his shows. That's really about the only positives I really have about this. The music was pretty good too. That's a third. The Ahsoka episodes were just worthless. I'm sorry. I'm going to be harsh here. They were utterly pointless. Let's start off with episode 1. I'm not going to go through every episode, but I really want to talk about episode 1 because, as you saw from the text messages, the receipts I have, it triggered me. It triggered me deep to my core and to my soul. We have Ahsoka and the ritual around her birth, which that in of itself is insane. But then the arc in plot of this episode is that she gets taken by a saber-toothed tiger and fucking infant 1-2-year-old Ahsoka. And this is the whole episode. She, through the Force, tames this saber-toothed tiger and somehow knows how to get back home. And I just want to say to everyone, to make this clear, what triggered me so much is that there's a lot of Rey haters out there. And there's a lot of validity to the Rey hate. I will not say the criticisms for her are wrong because they absolutely are true. But the problem I have is there's a lot of Rey haters who then, go to Ahsoka and say, well, Ahsoka's the good female character. Ahsoka's not the Mary Sue. Guys, she was an infant and she was using the taming ability from the Force that took Cal Kestis like 20 years to figure out. And then she does all this crazy stuff finding her way back home. And it's just, I guess my point is, if you think Rey's a bad character because she's overpowered into Mary Sue and didn't earn her skills, but then you like Ahsoka, I would say you're a full-on hypocrite because this is ridiculous. But again, I don't want to get too much into this. The Jedi Dooku episodes were definitely the height of this, and I thought they weren't too bad. It's true, but it's true what I'm saying.
I can't deny a lot of what you're saying. I do have similar feelings on this, and I loved what you said about the Dooku ones. How you found them very intriguing. Long ago, me and you watched this back in 22 when it released. Take us back to that. Take us back to 2022 when you saw this series release. What was your initial reaction?
Yeah, I was generally pleased. I really liked the Dooku episodes. I liked the Dooku episodes. I liked seeing a good old Sam Jackson. Well, it wasn't Sam Jackson. He didn't do the voice, did he? No, it wasn't.
No, he didn't. But Liam Neeson did do. Liam Neeson's son did this voice for Qui-Gon.
Yeah. So it was fun seeing them. The Ahsoka, of course, Palpa Memes is going to pick the worst one that just about everyone who watched this said it was pointless as the example on why the Ahsoka episodes were pointless.
Yeah, the other two were as well.
Pointless.
The other two were as well.
We'll go through the episodes episode by episode. We'll go through all 6.
Yeah. But the first one, yeah, it was the first episode too, which I think was a mistake. It's like, that's what you're going to open up the series with? It's like, ouch. It was kind of dumb. I mean, it was cute at first, but I was getting tired, really through it. I'm like, okay, come on, this is dumb. It's like, what are we doing here? I disagree with Palpa Meme's thing about, if you think Rey's a Mary Sue and you're a hypocrite. No, because I am one of those. With one episode of an animated series does not make Ahsoka a character who's been around for this long a Mary Sue. Sorry.
There's a plethora of reasons why people believe that. There's a plethora, but this is the
sure, and you can
it.
get to it, and you can get to it when it's your turn, but right now it's not. But there's that episode didn't, and you haven't heard you screaming that she was a Mary Sue prior to this. Was it a little overboard? Sure. Was it a little dumb? Sure. Does her as a baby having that grasp of the Force when she was as good as she was in a Clone Wars as a teenager a stretch? No, especially when we see what Grogu's doing, or could do. Especially when we see, Anakin, who had zero training, zero understanding, nothing that he knew, could do a pod race that no human being could do without having even an understanding why he could. He just thought he was just good. So yeah, and not everyone's ability in the Force is equal. And even in with the sequels, there's stuff I watched with Rey where I'm like, okay, well, no, that tracks. I could get on board with that. I could see that. But then there was some stuff just got a little, okay, come on now. So there's some stuff that went a little too far. I think with a saber-tooth tiger, the connection with nature, I don't think it took it that far. Now, again, I don't disagree that the episode is a bad episode. It sucked. It was the worst of the entire series for me. So I'm on board there with that, but I think some of the other stuff was a little hyperbolic. I don't think it was as bad as his things, but the series in general, after it was over, I was generally happy. The highs were high enough for me to not be worried about the lows of certain episodes.
I feel like I'm in the middle between both of you. Hang on. Let me get my take real quick. I'm in between both of you because we'll get to the first episode because that clearly is the one that we all kind of like. And I will admit, I remember seeing that at Celebration in 2022 for the Tales of the Jedi panel, and it was very beautiful at the time. And like Palpatine said, I love the aesthetics of this show, what they did with the animation, everything. It is very gorgeous. I wasn't a fan of doing 3 episodes on one character, 3 episodes on another character, especially when one of those characters is Ahsoka. Not because I hate Ahsoka, but like I always say, we have a lot of her already. So we have an entire 7 seasons of Ahsoka, another season of Ahsoka in the Ahsoka series. She's in Rebels as well and everything. And then she gets half the season of this. And yeah, a couple of those episodes, honestly, I would say all of them, and this is kind of my problem with the series as a whole, you can kind of take it or leave it within the Star Wars canon. It doesn't change or make anything really better, in my opinion. And, I think some elements of this series, especially the one with Ahsoka training with the clones and everything, is what they've done with like the Bad Batch, where it seems like what we kind of say on here on the show, they did the Bad Batch to explain Project Necromancer and bringing Palpatine back and everything like that. Seems like they did that Ahsoka clone training episode.
It was a direct tie-in to the last season.
Season 7.
It was a direct tie-in. That whole thing that she did was literally how she survived. That they did that to explain this is how she learned to survive what she survived.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I thought it was very
it's unnecessary.
It's tying in the stuff they're making, and that's what people get upset about.
No, I'm not upset that it tied in. I'm upset about that there was.
I said people, not you specifically.
No, I know. But like, I just want to explain, like, when we have these Dooku episodes that are intriguing, but they're so fucking short that they can't actually develop them. They have to do complete jump cuts for the story. It kind of frustrates me when we're so focused on Ahsoka training with clones for 15 minutes. We knew she was trained under Anakin. We knew Anakin was a very stern and strict trainer. This doesn't do anything for the character of Ahsoka or how any of us perceive her. No one had a problem that she was able to defend herself against the clones. It didn't need an explanation because we already had the explanation. It was pointless in that sense.
Well, not only that.
No. Hold on. First of all, we got to remember these are vignettes. Okay, they're 15-minute vignettes. They're snapshots of these people's lives, right? They're supposed to be short. They're supposed to be small little tales. The tales. That is the point of it. So if we want to get in discussion of we don't like vignettes and these little episodes don't do shit for me, we can get in a discussion. But as far as the format they were in, they did the job of what they were supposed to do within that format. So they did work that way. Now, as far as the, we didn't need to see the clones again. People would have called her a Mary Sue in the Clone Wars if it's just like, oh, suddenly Ahsoka can just take on an entire battalion of clones and she survives.
I disagree.
It's giving you that actually showed. It actually shows you what people complain about, right? It's actually contradicting your Mary Sue argument. She said you saw her fail. Hold
on. I never called her a Mary Sue. I said if you're calling Rey a Mary Sue and saying she's a bad character because of that, then you have to throw the same critiques on Ahsoka.
No, because I didn't see Rey train for days and days and days to do what she did, like I saw Ahsoka do in this episode.
She didn't train when she's taming a beast and knows how to use the Force to get back to her home.
Are we comparing that to taking on an entire battalion of clones? That was this whole different situation.
My point is, you're talking about me calling her a Mary Sue. I'm saying in the critique of Mary Sue's, you have to apply the same arguments to Ahsoka, who does things that I would argue are almost worse.
Right. But you said this for all 3 episodes, not just the first one. You said no, all 3 were bad.
Well,
and I'm explaining to you.
I only talked about the first one is simply because I didn't want to go on for too long about it.
Sure. And what I'm explaining is that the Sabretooth bothered you so much, yet the very next episode we see how she had to train and kept failing at it and kept doing it over and over and over and over again to pay off what she did later. So it's like you're ignoring that whole thing to say the first episode.
No.
You can't apply the same definition with Rey.
Hang on.
Completely different.
Let me interject here because you both are going to go on this tangent.
No. I just want to say one thing. We can move on. All right. This is like a presidential debate. I got to respond to that. I was specifically talking about how ridiculous it was that she was able to do that as a 1-year-old infant. Whatever she is. 1, 2 infant. I don't know. I specifically pointed that out. That's all I was talking about. I found that episode ridiculous because of that.
Okay, but when it comes to that second episode and her arc, it's actually episode 5. Practice makes perfect. Longer, the thing I have an issue with this on episode specifically is the fact that when you see season 7, I don't think anyone had any question about Ahsoka surviving against the clones and anything. I think we all took it at face value. All right, whatever. I feel like the training method of this, of like it seems like the in-canon explanation for this is the reason she survived against the clones and no other Jedi did, basically, is because she trained with the clones on this one day, all day with Anakin, and then she just was a master at deflecting clone blaster fire because they're real people and everyone else trains with droids. That's weird to me because
it wasn't just that. It was legitimately training her to battle against a specific type that all the clones are trained in. You see what I'm saying? It was literally, it was almost, if you want to say it was stupid, it's like, oh, so she's specifically training for Order 66 when they don't know what's going to happen? Because that's literally what it was. Okay, it was her training for Order 66, right? And maybe Anakin had a premonition you know,
Oh,
with the
right.
whole thing. And that's why he's like, you know, you're going to need this one day. I can't tell you why, or
Yeah.
maybe I don't even know why, but you're going to need this one day. And
I don't think anyone has a problem with the fact that she's training. It's the fact that this wasn't really needed for the character of Ahsoka. I understand there's gonna be people complaining about anything and everything, but I recall with season 7, I didn't see anyone. Yeah, but I mean, here I'm talking positively about the Dooku episodes. I'm bringing very valid criticisms to these Ahsoka episodes. No one was complaining that she was able to defend herself against clones. She's a very, very powerful Jedi. She trained under the Chosen One. No one was complaining that she was able to do that. I don't understand where this.
It's not about complaining. No, okay. This line of thinking. No, but this is what this line of thinking pisses me off. Okay, you don't. If you're doing something because there's a direct criticism or complaint, then you're already on the wrong path. You don't have to do something just because people complained about it, or you don't have to do something just because you think people might complain about it. You could just do it to say, hey, all these Jedi died in Order 66. How are we going to explain that Ahsoka didn't? We got to show how she was different than other Jedi. Not that just she was just strong, because there was plenty of other Jedi. There were plenty of other Jedi who were way more powerful than her and died.
Right.
Okay.
Certain situations cause other Jedi like Cal Kestis to survive. We don't need it.
You talk about lightsaber forms and everything. There's a lightsaber form meant for blast deflection. I think it's the
again, the clones had a specific battle style.
Let's right.
Okay, but no, I'm sorry, but blaster is blaster. Like you telling me they shot at a special angle that no other person in the world has shot. I mean,
they trained a specific way
in the show.
Yeah, they are trained a specific way to work as a team and a group and all that stuff. But I mean, the Jedi are warriors, and especially during this time period, they don't have a lot of lightsaber battles going on. They have blaster.
When people when they came to Japan and they had to deal with the samurai, they realized, shit, this is a whole different way of fighting that we're not familiar with. It's classic battle training. It's just not. We're looking at it from the very narrow scope of what we know of Star Wars, and we don't want to suspend that disbelief to think that it's okay to suspend disbelief that there's 6 different fucking lightsaber forms when they have never fought it, when they hadn't fought anyone with a lightsaber for over 1,000 fucking years. But we can't fathom that. Oh yeah, the clones maybe have a different little militaristic training style that may not be as simple as regular blaster training.
Yeah, how would they?
I don't understand how they're going to shoot differently than like everyone else at the Jedi.
It's also that, and it's like we saw her survive in season 7 of the Clone Wars. It was all shown and clear. It was very clear. No, I didn't find any criticisms of it on why this wouldn't make sense. But also, these guys fought side by side, specifically Ahsoka, with clones for like a fucking decade. You're telling me that suddenly, like she wouldn't learn based off of that alone? If you are on the team of LeBron James for 20 years. And then you go up against LeBron James, you're going to have a better chance going up against him just knowing how he plays because you've been playing on his team for 20 years. Again, it was one of those things where it's like, and I'm not saying they wrote it in comparison to this criticism that supposedly exists. I was just bringing that up because you brought it up, and I was saying I don't think that matters. I think the problem is it's like it's the epitome of just a filler episode when there could have been better stories told around this.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the issue with some of the episodes in this series, and it does seem to be the Ahsoka ones. So let's get into this episode by episode. The first one that they had was Life and Death, that we all clearly love so much. Honestly, I'm torn on this one because Palpatine said this is the worst one, and I don't know if I think it is because the other two I didn't enjoy that much. Yeah, man, I don't know, man, because this the beginning of it I thought was like Longo was saying it's cute. I was like, okay, I understand the spiritual and the nature stuff, and like this is a nice little episode about like kind of life and everything. But yeah, once the saber-toothed tiger came in, especially with
I like how we're just going with that name because I called it that.
What else do you think
it is? That's what it is. But
it's really what it is. Once the saber-toothed tiger came in and it like brought her back to the village and everything, that's what completely turned me off to the show. And like Longo was saying, it did go for it went for like a little too long in my opinion. Like it dragged on where it got to a point where it was like, okay, just wrap this up, Dave. All right. It's I think the second longest episode in the series that we have out of the 6 episodes.
Which is funny because I thought the Dooku episode's the one where we'll get into the one where he finds out about Qui-Gon's death. I felt like that one was just cut way too short, you know?
Again, it's a vignette. It's a vignette.
I'm fully
If
aware.
you're
You know what
saying
else
I would
is?
have liked to have seen something longer with that, sure. But this is a vignette. It's a snapshot,
I'm
a moment
fully
in
aware.
time.
That doesn't change any of these criticisms. You know what else was a vignette? Star Wars Visions, which is fucking great.
Yeah, but those episodes were equal in length. I mean, there were some of them are like 10 minutes, some of them are like 20
That's
minutes.
what I'm
and everything. I
saying.
don't-
They did a
I
good
don't-
job at that.
But you have hold on. But you had no emotional attachment to any. Those are all brand new, completely out of the Star Wars universe characters, right?
Right,
You're talking
which
about
means
something.
they probably
You're
have a
talking about
harder
something
time
that
of me
holds
getting
emotional
to like
impact
it.
to you. Just admit your criticism is you don't like the format. Okay, because
No,
that's
my criticism is that the stories could have been better, could have been filled with better stories. That's my criticism for the Ahsoka episodes. I would have much rather literally had a Count Dooku shorts of 6 episodes of Count Dooku's journey as a Jedi and to what he is as a Sith. That would have been fucking great. Even Goldman said here in the comment that would have been amazing. It's
okay,
not
I don't
about
know
the
why you
format.
why you think Goldman agreeing on one thing you're saying is going to make me change my mind all the fucking sudden when I argue with him
I'm
just
not
as much.
sure. I couldn't care
It's
less
not.
to try and change your mind. That's what I'm gonna do to change your mind.
Okay.
It has to do with me explaining my view on it.
Right. But just because Goldman agrees doesn't mean it's right.
No, I was just.
Let's just put it that way.
This is something that people wanted, and Goldman's not even a prequel fan, so it's kind of worth bringing up. But also,
Yeah,
it's
but
like
guess
when you're
what?
telling me,
He can
when
at
you're
least
telling
say
me, like,
this: that he admits I hate the format. It sucks.
okay,
that-
Goldman's not me. When you bring up saying, "Oh, you don't like it because of the format," it has nothing to do with the format. It has to do with the stories just not being worth telling. It's simple as
Stop
that.
saying better stories when they're 15-minute vignettes. They're vignettes. They're snapshots in time.
The Dooku episodes had value to them, and I brought them on my positivity scale. It had value to them, right?
But that's the problem is that with these episodes,
Don't tell me they
especially
had
the ones that we
value
don't
when you
like-
said they should use better stories. If you said they need better stories, then they have
I'm
value.
talking about the Ahsoka episodes.
Yeah,
You said that
and
with the
he's
Dooku
right.
ones too.
No,
I said the
he's
Dooku
right.
ones had. I said the Dooku ones. They had positivities about them, but ultimately, I felt like the story was cut short. And with that could have been solved by having a 6 short episode series.
Then it's not a vignette.
I don't care. I don't care. If
You
have
want
6
a
episodes of-
Dooku series. That's called a Dooku series, dude.
with the story that they had, the Dooku one was 20 times better. Actually, had
That's
some
almost-
story going.
That's
for it.
almost a 90-minute movie about Dooku. That's not a vignette.
Well, okay, but the problem with these vignettes, Longa, is that the time they allocate towards something like the Ahsoka episodes and everything, they're not very interesting. It's like, okay, you're doing a short story format and you're picking target practice and Baby Ahsoka
Sure.
as the
Sure.
story topics.
Sure.
It leaves a lot.
But
to
why
be
is it
inspired.
every time we're talking about Dooku, you guys fall back on the Ahsoka episodes and why they were bad?
Oh, I can give a plethora of reasons for why the
I haven't
Ahsoka
talked
episodes
about
are
the
bad without
Dooku
bringing up the
ones
Dooku
yet.
episodes. I did with episode
No.
1.
Vice versa.
Hang on,
If we're saying the Dooku ones were good, why do you guys keep falling back to the Ahsoka to make an argument about when we're talking about Dooku?
Because
Dooku
I believe
episodes?
we're talking specifically about the Ahsoka episodes
Okay.
and where this series. Hold on. Let
we
me
weren't.
finish.
We were talking about Dooku a
Talking
lot.
about no. Hold on. You gonna let me finish?
y'all have lost
Talking
me
about
completely.
where this story in this series, I should say, falls short. It's on the Ahsoka episodes. The Dooku ones had merit. They had value. They had some storyline going on that I think all of us found interesting. I wouldn't. I don't want to speak.
What
for Star Wars
started
only.
this? Listen. What started this tract is you said they cut it short. That Dooku episode was cut short. I felt it was cut short, and that's when I said they're vignettes, and that's what started this whole discussion. Okay, and you guys kept falling back to the Ahsoka ones. I commented on a specific thing you said about Dooku. Okay, and that's what we were talking about, and you guys kept strawmanning and shifting it over to the Ahsoka ones.
Well, no, it's because it's the
Yeah, it
series
is.
contains
Don't worry
Ahsoka
about
and
this. Look at
Dooku.
this over here.
No.
That's exactly what a straw man
because we're
is.
explaining why the series felt short. Could you not have 6 vignette episodes of Dooku that are all 15, 20 minutes long? They tell this whole story of Dooku and Qui-Gon Jinn, their relationship with Mace Windu. Would that not be the same thing in the same category?
Again, you said you would rather had 6 episodes of Dooku then, and I'm telling you
Yes.
that's a whole that's a movie. That's basically a 90-minute movie at that point.
Cool.
Give
Would have
me
been
a
better.
Goddamn Dooku movie.
Then
all right?
okay, then it's the format. Thank you. You proved my point.
No, it's
You
not
just
the
don't like the
format.
format.
No, it is not, because
format
that's a
is
straw
fine.
man right
The
there.
the
It's
format
the
is fine.
story choice. It is the decision of the stories, right? If
Don't tell me that. You said you would rather have 6 episodes of Dooku than with this.
If I got a choice, if I had a red pill and a blue pill,
Then
one
you
of
want
them's
a
what we
movie.
got, the other one's
Then you
What?
want a movie.
No,
It's
that's
not a movie if
ridiculous.
it's chopped up into 15-minute, 6-part episodes.
You want to talk about strawman? That's a strawman. If I had the choice between the two of them, yeah, I would pick that. But also, I would have much preferred. It would have been great to have Oh, I don't know. 3 episodes of Dooku like we got, and then 3
It's
episodes
not.
of
Because
3
you said
episodes
you
of
wanted
Luke
that episode
Skywalker.
to be longer. So that would
No,
mean
I
that
said- no, I
episode
did
would have been
not.
at least
I
2
said- I
episodes.
said
You
the
said it was
story was
cut
cut
short.
short. Right.
So what's the what makes it better? What makes it not cut short?
Well,
Being
yeah,
longer.
Hold on, let me answer.
Memes,
Let me
what do you
answer.
mean about being cut short though? Like what
The
part
story
of the Dooku
itself, I
story?
felt the story was cut short. There could have been more development with the story. And my answer to that was, if they were going to want to fulfill a Dooku story, they should have just had 6 episodes of Dooku.
And more
Well,
development of the
okay,
story
I mean-
is a fucking movie. Jesus Christ. How is it a straw man? That's exactly what you're asking for.
Okay, but what you're thinking of
It's not a
development
movie.
and his terms of development are going to be
15-minute
different.
episodes is not a movie. That's a complete lie. That's still 6 short episodes.
That's 90
come on, man.
fucking minutes. Your
I don't
average
care.
movie is 90
It's
minutes.
90
Okay,
minutes.
then with your
It could be
logic,
60 minutes.
Then with
It
your
could be
logic,
40.
the 4 episodes of the Clone Wars season
Hold
7
on.
is just a fucking movie. It's
Star
not,
Wars
it's not a
only.
show.
It is a
He
movie.
said 6 episodes. They're 15 minutes long. That's 90 minutes.
Well,
It's
you
not a
can cut 'em
movie.
A little bit shorter.
It's
you
not even
know?
a
I mean,
movie.
if it's chopped up by 6 episodes,
not a
I'm not
movie.
going to call that a movie. I mean, it's a movie in terms of the amount of time of content we're getting, I guess. But first of all, it's Disney Plus.
Okay,
the first
then
3
it's-
minutes are freaking trailers, and the last 2 minutes are fucking end credits about.
If you
everyone who
watch
worked on the goddamn
animated
show.
movies, most animated movies are 60 to 90 minutes.
Yeah, you know,
Stop
you're
playing
right.
this game.
I'm not
No,
disagreeing
I'm
with
Stop
not,
that.
there's
playing
no
this
being played.
game.
You are deliberately calling something a movie for what I want when it is objectively not a movie.
Okay,
The
fact. Most animated movies are 60 to 90 minutes. That's a fact.
and most
There are
movies
6
are
episodes.
one
There are 6
movie.
episodes here. Don't tell me to let you finish and you cut me off to try to dissuade my point. You said you'd rather have 6 movies to flesh out the story, which means all of them would have to involve Dooku and the story. That's 90 minutes of Dooku. That is an animated fucking movie. I am
Okay,
not
but
straw manning.
No, it is not
but
a movie.
You just say one
If you
thing,
have-
and then when I frame it in the way of what you're actually trying to say, you get upset about it. That is what you
I'm
said.
simply letting
You'd
you
rather
know.
have it.
But
It's
first of
not
all,
a
Lunga,
movie. There's no way to
a
spin this.
movie, a
not
movie
a
would have
movie.
to be one plot. A movie would have to be
No,
one
no,
plot.
no,
one
it would
story.
not
He
have to
said
be
he
one
wanted
plot.
that one more
No,
fleshed
hold
out.
on. You
It needs
both are
more
wrong.
time.
I'm going to argue with both of y'all now. A movie is one consistent film, right? A show is a bunch of different episodes. It would be a show.
Are we playing this game now?
Yes,
Obi-Wan
because you are
Kenobi wasn't a
deliberately-
movie in a
Calling it
series
movie,
format?
I don't want to get into this
Yes,
debate on a fucking
because
movie
you are
and a
deliberately
show.
calling a movie when it objectively would not be. And
I'm-
under no definition, it would not be a movie.
And you from now on are banned from using the word objective because you really don't know what it means.
well, I am right
You
there.
don't.
No, I'm,
You
I,
don't.
know,
Use it
I am
every-
right.
you
You
use
are
it every
simply
week.
wrong. And what the way I'm using it, yeah, 6 episodes.
You call every single one of your opinions objective, and it's an opinion.
Okay, saying
not
a
objective.
movie is not 6 episodes that are cut up is saying it's not a movie is true.
You could take a movie
hang on.
and chop it up, and it's a series. It still was a fucking movie.
And then it's a
you could
show.
take a
Then it's a
script.
series.
Listen,
Yes, then
that's
it would be a
exactly what they did
series.
for Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're gonna make a
Well,
movie. You know what? Let's chop it up and make a
was a
series.
show.
The best
And it
example
was a
is the Clone
series.
Wars movie. I mean, let's be honest. The Clone Wars movie was initially 4 episodes of a series, and then they combined it and they made it a movie.
Come on,
And
dude.
it was what? A movie. No, there's no come on here. You are
If-
wrong. You are
I'm
calling
not.
something a movie.
All right, listen. You want to believe I'm wrong? We'll move on to the next topic. You want to believe
There's
I'm
no
wrong? Go
believing.
ahead.
It's true.
You're objectively wrong, but you're subjectively
He's
right.
choosing objectively. now,
That's
God damn
ridiculous. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to take this. You are telling me it's a movie if you have 6 parts, 6 episodes, and somehow it just makes it a movie. That's not what a movie is, Lunga.
I'm telling
That's a
you, if you
show.
have one consistent storyline of one character from the beginning of a series to the end of the series, when you put them all together, that's a movie. You just want them chopped up
they're
into
not-
more bite forms.
No,
it's
that's
still
a
the
show
same
if they're
fucking
chopped
thing.
up- No, it's
Lunga,
not.
you're saying
they are
it's
chopped up in
basically a
episodes.
movie, but it's not really a movie.
It's
I-
not.
I'm saying what you want
I
is
don't think
basically a movie. That's what I said 100 times.
No, you
Okay,
didn't
yes,
say basically.
yes.
You said it is a movie. That's not what you said.
No,
You said it
dude.
would be a movie.
Dude, I
Lunga,
said
you're
what you
outvoted.
want is a movie. That's
You're
what I said.
outvoted.
I said what
It's-
you want
it's not
is a movie.
It's not a
Okay?
movie.
What I
And
want is
Obi-Wan
good
Kenobi
storytelling.
was supposed to be a movie, and they made it into a series.
Right, and that's what a series. It's not a movie.
Okay, but you still want something that's... Oh my God, I'm done. Move on to the next
He's about to
topic.
say he was about to say basically a movie. Anywho, let's get to the Dooku ones because I think we all agree those are the best of the series, but I kind of have to disagree with both of you. I wasn't a big fan of these. The first one was Justice. Y'all remember this one where him and little Qui-Gon Jr. go to freaking some planet that's poor,
Oh, with the senator and all that.
and the senator and the son's captured and everything like that. Pablo, you said you found the Dooku stuff intriguing, and I know you like it more than the Ahsoka ones, and I do too. I will say though, I think you may be more fond of it than I am because I thought, especially these first two episodes about Dooku, one's called episode two is Justice, episode three is Choices. It's kind of like the exact same thing, just with a different side character of a Jedi Knight. You know, it's supposed to show the fall of Dooku and everything, and seeing what's wrong with the Republic and everything like that, and how the Jedi are becoming corrupt for the Republic. I didn't find it all that interesting. Truth be known, I really didn't. It's not like I dislike this episode, but this episode on its own, fine, it's whatever and everything. You get to see Jedi Dooku. That's cool, I guess. Then you get to the second one, Choices, and it's the one with Mace Windu and everything. I wasn't a fan of these arcs because it felt like just kind of the same thing repeated. Two episodes of just, oh, Dooku's disgruntled with the Jedi Order and the Republic, and he doesn't, he's thinking about leaving the Order and everything like that. Did you guys like this episode, the Justice one? I mean, I think it was fine. I think it was better than the first episode with Ahsoka, baby Ahsoka. But compared to like most Clone War episodes, I just even the little short spin-off ones they did, where it's just a one episode little arc, like let's call it a vignette or whatever. eh, This didn't really hit home for me. I don't really want to rewatch this episode again.
Beardless Qui-Gon and beardless Dooku is objectively bad.
I don't know. I think Qui-Gon looked pretty rough, but Dooku didn't look so bad for his young age.
No. It's objectively bad, dude. It's just horrible. You can't do that. You just can't do that. It's wrong. It's wrong to do.
Battle about the fucking objective word.
The episode was fine. It showed the first initial signs of him turning, right? He was force choking that guy. Qui-Gon was kind of concerned about it. And when you take the vignettes and you put them together, and it's three different stories, it shows a picture of Dooku. That's how vignettes work.
Yeah, but what if I don't like the vignette?
Then you don't like the format. But I don't want to get back into that discussion.
Okay, because I was going to say I did like not Tales, Visions and everything. I thought that was good. But like I was saying, I just, for the story purposes, and this was always my criticism of the Dooku arcs from the beginning, is what they chose to focus on for Dooku as a Jedi and everything, I found very uninteresting. I really didn't like just, oh, Dooku's thinking about. Have either of you read the book Dooku Jedi Lost?
No, but I honestly want to after this. But that's not to say that this did a great job of developing the story. But I want to say,
well, no, it completely ignores it. It
oh, then fuck it. I'm not going to read it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really tie into it all that much, in my opinion. And some people criticized Tales of the Jedi because it made it seem like the Dooku Jedi Lost was uncanon because at the end of that book, he's on Sereno and he basically decides, all right, I'm not going to be a Jedi anymore. I have my own thing I got to do or whatever. I think it was Sereno. And he became Count Dooku. And then eventually he became a Sith Lord years later. And we don't really see any of that. We don't see him leave the Order, and we don't see him join the Sith or like discover that Palpatine is Sidious and everything.
Right.
Like,
That's why I said like earlier, like there's a lot of jump cuts, right? And there's a lot of gaps in this story that I think could have been filled by more episodes. Like I definitely say this episode, the first episode of Dooku was definitely the weakest of the three. Can we agree on that?
I don't know, because do you really
you think 1 and 2 are tied?
Is better? You think the Choices is better with Mace Windu?
No. Like the third of the Dooku, which would be episode 6.
Yeah, I'm talking about the one with Mace Windu. That's the second.
That was the second of the Dooku arc.
Yeah.
And that one was kind of weird too. Yeah, I guess there wasn't a whole lot going on. It was
because
a little
he just says the same
redundant.
thing.
Yeah, it was pretty redundant. Yeah.
At the end, he tells the villain like, "Oh, I agree with some things, but I don't agree with how you do them." And it's dull. Like Dooku. I think prequel fans have made Dooku like almost a sympathetic character at this point in the character's lifeline over the past it's been 20 something years that he's been in the Star Wars fandom and canon and everything. Dooku, I like that he's flashy. I like that he is a master swordsman and what he wants to join the Sith for. But you don't really see any of that in this, other than why he wants to lead the Republic and the Jedi. But these two episodes are kind of the same thing, repeating of, oh, the Republic's bad, the Jedi are corrupt. The Republic's bad, the Jedi are corrupt. You should leave, Dooku. And then by the third episode of his, with the Sith Lord is what it's called, he's already gone from the Order. Maybe not. Like, I can't really tell by the episode. It doesn't like if he's gone from the Order, why is he walking through the Jedi halls? And getting access to all this stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's the big issue with this sort of, and I will say with Lunga when it comes to the criticism of this format. I want to say I don't know if it necessarily works for these type of stories. I think it works a lot better for something like Star Wars Visions, right? You can tell these stories. These stories are condensed down, and it's okay that they are. We don't need all this other establishment and development for it to be pretty coherent. I think what they were going for is like you really just got to understand, get the gist of everything. You really shouldn't expect much development or all this from really short episodes. And that's why I say I think the series would have benefited from it just being a 6 episodic run of a Dooku story.
Yeah, I don't know if I would even like that.
Do I get a shot or no? Or
what did you think of these first 2 episodes of Dooku?
Okay. Well, here's the thing. These vignettes are a snapshot of his life through different periods. You see him as a very young man, as a middle-aged man, and as an older man just prior to the events of the prequels. You're basically supposed to see in these very short little bits, these short little stories, that the story itself isn't important. It's how they affect him and how you can see the signs of where he reaches this thing. I almost want to put up the meme from which movie was it? Art. Get it? And
This is Seinfeld, I think.
No, it wasn't Seinfeld. It was it was one of the Will Ferrell or one of those kind of movies. But at any rate, no, it was Ted. It was Ted. He remembered the douche, the douche boss, his girlfriend's douche boss, brought him to his house, and he's walking through his house.
Shows him Lance Armstrong's nut. Yeah, okay,
yeah.
Now I remember. Yeah. All right, thanks.
Yeah, now you remember. Art, get it? Now, here's the thing. This is subjective. This kind of format isn't for everyone, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, but that doesn't mean they didn't do what they were supposed to do, because they did. They showed us little snapshots of, when we're talking about Dooku, okay, about how he got to where he was at. How did this person who was considered a pillar of the Jedi Order, a person who someone like Qui-Gon looked up to, who wanted to be his Padawan, how did he end up being Darth Sidious, right? Or Darth Tyrannus? And these things show you the little progressions of how it got there, And what we almost saw in that last episode was like the final straw for him. Where he made the decision to go down this path, right? But the thing, this is the sympathetic part you said. They're trying to make us again that Dooku was doing it because he thought he was doing good, right? Which is nonsense when you do it on the dark side. Everything he should know about that wasn't that. But that's what they're trying to show us. So there's some criticism to be had there because they want to make Dooku a sympathetic character. Kind of like what people do with Anakin. Right? They still try to make Space Hitler a sympathetic character.
Don't even get me started on that.
Right. But, they're showing you these little snapshots where the story itself isn't of vital importance. It's the underlying emotions that Dooku is having because he's already having these thoughts. And these little things are feeding into those thoughts that lead him to where he's at. It's not supposed to be a full story of Dooku's life. It's not supposed to be a full story of Dooku's descent. It's not that. It's these little moments in time that fed into where he got. And again, subjectively, that's not for everyone. I liked it. So I like seeing those little snapshots like that. It's not supposed to be an anthology, right? It wasn't an anthology. It was a vignette. Star Wars Visions was an anthology. Okay? It was an anthology. That was different. It was these different stories, different people, unrelated. That's an anthology, okay? With a similar theme. That's what an anthology is. It's a similar theme. The similar theme is Star Wars Galaxy, right? It's in the Star Wars universe. That's the similar thing. This isn't an anthology. It's 2 characters, vignettes, showing snapshots of moments in their lives that lead them to where they are now or the decisions they made at the end. And that's what it was trying to do. So in of itself, of what it was trying to do, it succeeded. If you like it or not, is subjective, okay? If you like that format and if you like seeing it that way. Even the Ahsoka one, I thought that first episode was boring. I said it's a horrible episode. But when you look at it in the context of the 3 episodes together and the picture it's trying to paint and where we get to Ahsoka, it did the job it was supposed to do. We can get into the nitty gritty of it's stupid her dealing with a tiger as an infant. Sure, whatever. But it showed how this girl who was a teenage girl during the Clone Wars survives Order 66. Okay, which is a big deal. People did question that. I'm sorry. People did question that when they came back. How did she survive Order 66?
For sure.
Let's not pretend they didn't ask that question, because they did. Of all the people, how did all these other Jedi, strong Jedis die and she survives? And that's what they tried to show us. And it succeeded in doing that. Now, if you liked it or not, completely subjective and whatever it is. But you can't say that they didn't do what they were supposed to do, because they did.
Well, I mean, my rebuttal to that, with my only criticism really, especially with these two episodes, like I was saying, is like it does feel like the same story beat for beat, whereas like the Ahsoka ones, like you were mentioning, it shows like her entire life and everything. It's different chapters in her life. It felt like, especially those first two episodes,
Because it is the same story. The story is, how did Ahsoka survive Order 66? The story for Dooku is, how did this pillar of the Jedi community fall to the dark side? Those are those vignettes. That's the theme. That's the similar story. That's the similar beat. And the story, like I said, the story in the background is really irrelevant. It's the focus of this person's emotional struggle or this person's journey in these small little bite-sized chunks. That's what it was supposed to do.
yeah, but it seems like the overall plot for like the Dooku arc is what you just said. Is, you see him slowly turn to the dark side and everything like that. But the plot of each episode, at least two of those, seem to kind of be the same thing. He goes on a mission with another Jedi, and they kind of look at him and they're like, "Hey, you're being a little dark side over here, bro."
Every Star Wars book I've read with Jedis going on missions, it's always the same thing. They go on a mission somewhere. That's Star Wars, dude.
Hey, didn't
What are you
you like
talking about?
What do you mean, what am I
Mandalorian
talking
season
about?
one?
That's Star
Star Wars
Wars,
only?
dude.
Don't you
Yeah,
like Mando
okay.
season 1?
But there's a difference between a serialized
Oh, it's
show
different.
and it is different. It is different.
It is.
'Cause
You're
this-
right. I said it's
these are
different.
Because it's a
vignettes,
vignette. It's not
I'm
about the individual. Because you want to look at this like The Mandalorian, and I keep telling you, you can't. You want to look at it like it should be 6 episodes of Dooku, and you can't, because it's not serialized. That's not what it's doing. The individual story of each, like we look at The Mandalorian, we're like, okay, there's an overall arc, but we like each episode being its own little contained story, and we like seeing that, because that's what helps keep us going through as we're watching this overall arc progress. The vignettes aren't like that. That's not what their goal is. Their goal is that this person, this struggle, and this is what happened here, this is what happened here, and this is what happened here, and all of those play together to where they end up. It's not the little stories that happen are the mundane things. That's the whole thing. It's a mundane thing. And you're not supposed to focus on the mundane thing. You're supposed to focus on the character. It's a character-driven story, not plot-driven.
Well, I'll admit, Wonga, I've never heard the word vignette until today, specifically within the past hour. So I'll concede I don't really know much about vignettes, other than that apparently they're short stories. And I'm not supposed to give a fuck about like the story being the same in two vignettes.
Sure, let me give you an
But the
example.
overall one.
What really got George, one of his big motivations was those samurai stories, right? They would have they were all the same. Ronin samurai runs into a town, gets caught up some shit, fights things, leaves. It's the same fucking thing over and over and over again. What made it different was the character and what happened to the character. And it was a character-driven story, not the plot. And again, I couldn't watch those movies. They bored the hell out of me, a lot of those samurai movies. I can't watch them, okay? But because I didn't care about the characters. You know what I mean? I care about these characters, so that's why it drew me in. This is why I said at the beginning, it's just a format you don't like. And I wasn't saying that as a negative. It's that is when you boil it down, that's what it comes down to.
Well, maybe you're right, but I mean, damn, I don't know. Maybe you are right, because if I look at all 6 of these episodes, I'll be 100% honest with you. There's only one that I would rewatch. Is the one with Dooku fighting Yaddle and everything, and you actually see him talk to Sidious. I like that one, but that's kind of where I wanted that story to go with Dooku in the series. So maybe I don't like the format. But then yet again, I would say when I look at Tales of the Empire, even though I haven't seen the show, of course, it looks vastly more interesting than this, in my opinion. I was very interested in the Count Dooku arc when I saw the trailer for Tales of the Jedi. but I clearly am not very satisfied with what they
I mean,
did.
Star Wars only.
Here,
I think.
just let me. Sorry to interrupt you. Help me. Just this real quick, because Zach Britt says vignette is a visual thing, like when you see darker border. No, that's in the form of photography, right? Vignette. But in storytelling, I'll give you the definition. In storytelling, it's a brief, evocative description, account, or episode. That's what a vignette is.
So Star Wars only. Yeah, I'll say like I think I don't want to speak for you, but for me, the biggest problem was the choices of the stories. If you want to have two separate stories, I felt like this Ahsoka one was such a weak choice. And long you say, oh, it's the subjective thing, and that's fine. You know, I just found it extremely uninteresting and not needed one bit for Ahsoka's story. Star Wars only. Yeah. I feel like if they did one of, say, the 3 episodes of Dooku, and then let's say they did 3 episodes of Luke Skywalker with Ben Solo and his Jedi Academy, and they kind of they very briefly showed Ben's fall and Snoke and stuff. I feel like again, it's all in execution. I feel like we would be much less harsh on this and more intrigued. Like, okay, this had merit to it, you know.
Well, yeah, it doesn't even have to be Luke and because
that's just an example, just something that's more interesting that would add value to like why should I as a fan?
You know, I think I have a different perspective from this because I am a comic book reader. Comic books have been important to me my whole life, and comic books did that a lot. Okay, and it was 24 pages to tell a story. You know, there's 24 pages to tell a story. And they were a lot like this. And I grew up in the 80s, and those He-Man cartoons, man. I mean, they were, you know, when you take out the commercials, they were 20-minute episodes. You know what I mean? But it was always the same thing. He-Man goes to fight Skeletor. You know, I mean, and like I said, I'm telling you, if you look at a lot of those samurai stuff, there's a lot of those little vignettes in the samurai stories. They do it a lot. There's a lot of short stories in written format that are the same way. And I'm now going to go off that because I keep looking at chat, and listen. I'm going to say disclaimer this one time, all of you, okay? Field all these questions to Goldman's Twitter, okay? Don't ask us. Field them all to Goldman's Twitter.
He's a grown ass man. You can ask him.
Right.
That means
it's not because there's a civil war. It's not because we don't want him here. It's not because he has expressed not wanting to be with us. But if you want more details, ask him. That's it.
That man's got his own life, bro.
Right.
I do not live where he lives. But to your point about the vignettes and especially the comic book thing, I'm really glad you brought that up because I love comic book stories like the Green Lantern Corps. I've always thought the DC universe compared to Marvel had more interesting villains and heroes that I liked. There's certain stories that I really liked about that universe and everything. I can't read a comic book that well though, and not like I'm eligible to read, but like first of all, that's old as fuck. I remember when that comic book came out. I was there. I remember.
No, you were definitely not there at all. This is at least. I mean, I was a child. This is at least late 70s, number 238. Yeah, this is early 80s. This is probably like 81, 82.
I was in my 20s.
I have to open it up to get the date. But yeah, no, you were not. your dad was in his 20s.
No, he was not.
He was not. He was even younger.
He was probably like 5 to 10. Yeah, he was 74 or something. I don't know. Anywho.
That's when I was born. So we're the same age. There we go.
yeah, I think so. But no, I don't like comic books that much. I like when I have the full is it omnibus of it or something like
the omnibus or graphic novel? Yeah, the omnibus gives you the whole story.
Yes, I love that because I can just get to the whole fucking
that's
thing.
Different though. Here's the thing.
It is.
That is episodic. Right? Isn't that it is? Episodic is when you need to watch all of them to get the whole story. Okay. And serialized is where there's a whole story, but each one has its own story in it, right? Am I correct with the definitions? Sometimes I get them mixed up. But so like a regular monthly series of a comic book was serialized. There may be an arc through across 3 episodes, 3 issues, 6 issues, but each one is its own little story. And sometimes they don't always tie into each other. Sometimes they contradict each other. But it's their own little each individual story. But as you read them over time, you get an idea of this character, and that's how you learn to grow to love this character. You get these little snapshots of this character and how he would act in this reaction, how would he act this. Oh, that makes sense where he got why he is it, now and stuff. So it's snapshots, and again, that's why I say that part's very subjective, and that's why I don't criticize that. If it didn't work for Purple Memes and you, I understand it on that level. Even when you say you don't know if Ahsoka needed it, this is when we get into the whole argument of like people complaining what's going on in the shows right now. Oh, it's leading up to the sequels. Just pointless. Who cares? No one cares. We don't want to know about it. Well, it's the same thing. Well, I don't care why Ahsoka Order 66. She was a Jedi. She trained under Anakin. That's all the explanation I need. I don't need more. Great. Some people like seeing that. Some people, if they like the character, like seeing more about the character. Yeah, they would like to know how she's around Order 66. But
I would say, I mean, gosh.
So saying she doesn't need it is not necessarily true.
No,
saying you don't feel yeah. If you could say, if I'm thinking as you, I didn't need it. Sure. But to say the character didn't need it, that's not true. And that's only true for you, not for people who are fans of the character.
Yeah, but fans can enjoy it. But my reason for that is more like there wasn't an inherent problem when it comes to Ahsoka as a character and as a trained Jedi and how she.
Are we only making stuff if there's an inherent problem? That's the only time to make content. No, we only make content about a character if there's a problem.
No, that's not. No, I'm saying that it wasn't needed in the sense that, okay, there's a gap in Ahsoka's story to explain this. The explanation's already there for how she survived Order 66. She's a very trained Jedi. She worked with these clones for over a decade.
Well, I think
that's not an explanation.
We took it at face value. We were like, okay, it makes sense.
By your definition, we did not need the prequels.
Well, I would kind of agree.
At all.
Star Wars only would agree with that.
Yeah, but that's because of how they were. If there were better movies, he wouldn't.
There's this huge gap in the story, right? To explain fully how the Jedi fell. Whereas here, it's just like, was there again? I don't want to say everything needs to have an inherent problem for it to justify its existence, but when we say whether it needed or not, I mean, maybe it is just my own thing. I didn't need to see it. I'll say that.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
But I failed to see the reason. Again, I'm not talking on an enjoyment level. I'm talking about on a reason of like, why. I just want to know, why was this the story that they chose? Because
I know why. I know
because
why.
It's fucking Dave Filoni. He probably isn't a body pillow. All right.
I don't know how to, I guess, properly articulate my real complaints about some of these episodes, because there's.
I could tell you, I don't want to see this. I want to see this. Give me vignettes about Grievous. I don't see nothing about Grievous. Give me more about Grievous. Give me more. These are obviously done in the prequel time. So. Whatever, yeah, we all can have that. I'd rather see more about this. I'd rather see more about that. Listen, man, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there were people saying, man, I wish I knew more about Han Solo. Then the movie came out like, fuck this movie. Okay,
yeah, but I'm glad you brought up Solo, because that's kind of how I feel about some of these stories, I guess, in a way where it's like they explain Ahsoka and Dooku and aspects of their character, and in doing so, it's kind of like the Solo a Star Wars story thing, where it's like, yeah, what are we gonna do for Solo Star Wars story? Well, he's got to make the Kessel Run. It's a young Han Solo. He's got to make Chewbacca.
All the hit points, yeah.
We also got to remember, this is 2022. Okay, we're looking at it like it just came out now. Okay,
that's true.
We're talking about it now, almost 2 years later. Okay, this was in the lead up to what we're seeing at the Clone Wars finale series season. And then knowing that there was an Ahsoka series coming, okay, that's why they did this.
Did you say the lead up to the
Clone Wars give more context because of where she's going to be in the Ahsoka series. That's why.
Yeah, it already came out after
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars came out.
But they were being made at the same time. They were being made around the same time.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe, but yeah, I mean, I guess my takeaway from it at the end of the day is that the Ahsoka episodes were very, very dry. You could say, oh, well, it got the point across. That's fine, but it was very uninteresting to me. I understand that that's a subjective take, and that's okay, but gosh, I just really, really did not enjoy them.
I would say though, I would imagine all three of us, the best one was when Dooku has already turned pretty much. He's working with Sidious and everything. I found that one extremely.
Well, that's the same thing as saying Revenge of the Sith is the best of the prequels. Sure. I mean,
Okay. I'm
Everything
glad
else is
there's
shit.
an objective fact that the Dooku fighting Yaddle one is the best one. You know what's funny? I'm glad you brought
most
up
people
the
like Return of the King. That's their favorite movie in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Two Towers
Sure,
is better though.
most
What?
yes, kind of sort. Hold on,
No.
Star Wars only. Hold on, only,
Yeah.
only. This is when you're just a dumb fanboy. Okay, the connoisseurs understand that Two Towers was the best movie.
No,
I'm
it's
glad
not. First
we're
of
on the
all,
same page
first
here.
of all, it is the Fellowship. That is by far the best of the movies.
Oh, the
Second-
2.5 hours of walking.
I love it. I fucking love it.
Hey, I do like it. I do enjoy it, and it's actually.
I'm
I'm not saying I hate it. I liked it too. But you get what I'm just being facetious here. But then you know what I'm saying. If you're comparing the three,
out of the three, the Two Towers is the worst because it's the most fake out of the deaths. And don't you love Eowyn?
Dude.
Don't you love Eowyn
Stop.
in the fake
Stop.
love triangle? No, you're not going to tell me I'm wrong here because the Two Towers is
everything he's
the worst.
describing about what he doesn't like about the Two Towers is what made Empire great, and he's not getting that.
No, vastly different stories.
Are you insane?
Okay, are you going to try to compare the Han Solo and Leia love story to Eowyn and Aragorn and fucking the Two Towers?
I'm comparing the beats. What made Empire
fuck about
great
no
is the same
beats.
thing
I
that made the
ain't
Two
kidding.
Towers great.
No, the Two Towers, the battle at the end is amazing and I love it, but yeah.
Helm's Deep, dude.
Aragorn
Ride for
falling off.
ruin,
Oh, it's amazing. First of all,
Theoden, man.
Theoden's my boy. Theoden is my fucking boy, and he shined in Return of the King. But the
Yeah.
first
Get
one, the
Dr. Phil
Fellowship,
off. Put this guy up.
is the best. Yeah.
No, it's for you, Star Wars only. Here's your clown
Well,
outfit.
Oh, ha ha ha!
Ha ha!
You-
You're not
you
going
like
to tell
the
me
worst
that
of
the Two
fucking
Towers
movies.
is the worst of the three Lord of the
It
Rings
is.
movies. That's
First of all,
fucking
I
abysmal.
know-
That's
Like,
asinine, dude.
listen. Star
First
Wars
of all-
only. Let me put this in perspective for you. Okay, like if you say you liked Return of the King better than Two Towers, subjectively that makes perfect sense. But when you say Two
very
Towers is the
enjoyable movie.
worst, you're just objectively fucking wrong. Okay.
No, I'm not. There's things called quality in life, all right? It goes Fellowship because it's the first, it's the best. You get that
You're
sense
gonna
of
start
adventure.
You're
Frodo's
going to start
going on.
saying that The Last Jedi is the best of the 9 movies in Star Wars? Because that's what you sound like right now.
No, but to me it's like when people say it's so funny. My manager at one of my jobs, literally the other day, we both found out we're huge Star Wars fans, and he was like, "I actually think the prequels are better than the originals." And because we're so cool and close, we really did get into it. I was like, "No, you don't believe that." I was like, "You like, I know you're older than me, but like, that is just a wrong thing to say." I was like, "When you say you think the prequels are better than the originals, all you mean to say is you think Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars movie. That's all it is." Like no one's out there saying they love.
There's always
freaking
there's
Phantom
Star
Menace
Wars
with Attack of the Clones.
Santa. Star Wars Santa's older than me, dude. Okay, he's old enough to vividly remember watching all 3 movies in the theater of the original trilogy. Okay, and he absolutely loves the sequels and think they make perfect sense. So I mean, you know,
Hey guys, we
Different
got a
strokes, man.
tangent alert in the chat. Tangent
Tangent
from
alert.
Grievous
we
Reborn.
need
should
you know
probably,
what? We need a siren and
we need
a graphic
Oh
for
my
that.
god! Yeah,
I need the Death Star siren, yeah.
motherfuckers. God
With a little
damn.
red light.
Everyone
We
should
need-
know
we
the
really-
first
we need
30
a
minutes of the
moderator.
show.
We need someone to produce this
I
show so
fucking
badly.
tried, but no, like the first 30 minutes is you
Well,
two
we
arguing,
had
and then
one.
and then
It's
we go
called
off.
Goldman. So
Yeah,
guys,
now he's fucking
reach
what
out
the
to
fuck is
Goldman on
name?
Twitter and ask him why he's not here.
He's got time to argue with people on Twitter, talk to us in the chats, but he doesn't have time to turn on his damn camera. You know what? He doesn't even
No,
need a
it's not
camera.
that he
Just
needs
bring
time.
your
He
fucking
doesn't
microphone
fucking care
out
about
and get
Star
in
Wars.
here.
You think he wants to show up for any of our Bad Batch episodes? All right, but yeah, so let's get back on topic before I.
Brendan Wayne has spent more time with us in 2024 than Goldman has.
He actually has. That's so
Hey, Goldman will pop into the Chatooine chat every so often and say something.
I know.
And then leave.
I know. And then
Hey,
leave like he always does.
Post and ghost. That's what you do. So we all agree the Sith Lord episode with Dooku is the best one of the series, and
It's probably the most enjoyable. Yeah, the most, I enjoyed it.
there are aspects of it. I
And
still
to
don't
me,
like.
it's the best one because it's part of a 3 vignettes that tell a character story.
What's the conclusion?
But Lunga, I'll ask you this: for me in the story, I would find it more interesting if Dooku had actually discovered that Palpatine is Sidious, or Dooku finally, decides to join the Sith and is trained as a Sith or anything. Does that work in this little vignette structure that I'm anti?
No, because that wasn't the story. The story is what events in Dooku's life made him turn, and it wasn't Sidious.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it was the death of Qui-Gon and everything like that. I get that.
It wasn't Sidious. It wasn't like he's fine. And Sidious goes, "Hey, you want to be on the dark side? Sounds great, fam." That's not what happened. Okay,
Yeah,
but
I guess I truly just don't like this format because when I think of the Dooku and the prequel,
you were wanting you wanted a different story. The story wasn't about that moment when he went insidious. That wasn't it. That's what it was about.
More interesting. I find it so much more interesting to see because everything they covered in this series is stuff that I feel like was already a given and already kind of known about Count Dooku. So when they explored this, other than like the Yaddle thing, none of it was like makes me go like, oh, that was such an amazing. Like there's certain episodes in Clone Wars where you discover a little bit more about Palpatine, or Yoda going to train with the things on Mortis, where it's stuff that actually kind of
that was a plot arc. That was a plot arc.
That's true.
Those
I guess
stories.
I wanted a plot arc with Dooku in this.
Yeah, well, but it was a character driven arc. It wasn't a plot arc.
Mm.
It was us trying to understand Dooku, see things through Dooku's eyes. That's what it was about.
Okay, well, and then when you put it like that, that does make sense, especially with this episode where he does seem toying with the idea of light and dark side with Yaddle and Sidious, where he's like, he's like the people I betrayed, how many lives have I, cost and everything like that. And so he's like, you're gonna have to do more for the, in the name of freedom and everything like that. Like I do see that switch where Dooku's finally like, all right, like I'm joining this guy. Like but even when they're talking, it seems like they've already been aligned with each other and everything. It makes me more interested in the story of Dooku, but it's like a tease to me where it's like, I want to see this and I can't get it.
It's not about the story of Dooku. It is about the character of Dooku. It's a character study.
The character of Dooku. I've known about that character for a hot minute.
It's a character study. No, you didn't. You didn't know this stuff.
Wouldn't a character study require you to understand the story of the character? Isn't it the same?
We already know the story.
We know what happens. We know the plot points of the story, right?
Yeah, we're not doing plot. We're doing it's a character-driven story. We already know the plot points,
which requires development, which is typically stemmed from.
We already have that, like you said about Ahsoka. We don't need that. We already know. We know the plot points of Dooku's story.
Right.
Lunga, you have made me less interested in Tales of the Empire. Because you have just throughout the whole show.
About time.
Well, because the whole fucking show, I'm over here like, okay.
It's about time you wake up to realize that, maybe this stuff's not as good as I wanted it to be. Yeah.
Or okay, well, no, maybe, no. Maybe you just don't get it.
Oh, that's what it is. I just don't get it.
Duh.
It makes sense.
Should have known.
It's such a complex story and show and plot and character study. I just don't fucking
if I
get
see
it.
Actually, no. But I will say this in almost half earnest though. There is some truth to that statement, but it's not. When people say that, they say you don't get Star Wars, which is nonsense. It's not that you don't get Star Wars. You just don't get this highfalutin, highbrow way of character stories. That's
you believe that as the defense for Luke in The Last Jedi?
No, because that took a complete turn. That took what we knew and like the lightsaber, threw it over his shoulder. So that's a whole different deal. That's like if they did Dooku and everything that we knew, they just went, nah, fuck it. And then told us something completely different. They was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Okay. That'd be a problem.
At the end of the day, I am very glad, Star Wars Only, that you've come around to understand that Star Wars Tales of the Empire is going to be mid.
But Tales of the Empire does look interesting because you get Barriss Offee, you get fucking but see, and here's where I'll go back to maybe I don't like this format and the whole vignette thing is that I'm expecting the story of Barriss Offee to be wrapped up. I'm expecting her to die at the end of the series because if she doesn't, I'm going to be pissed. People need to die in this universe. I'm tired of people not dying and living forever. everything like that. So if this show comes out and she does not die at the end, and we come back here on May fucking 8th, I think is when this show is going to happen. We do the Tales of the Empire one, and Lunga's like, oh, it's not that the episodes were bad. You just don't like vignettes. I'm gonna fucking shoot my computer.
Throw a chair.
Like,
I mean, that is not me. That is up to you. If you make the same if you make the same shitty arguments, then yeah, we're gonna end up at the same place. What do you want me to tell you?
Simply not good. Like is that an allowed take? What's like the life and death episode?
No. Here. This is
not good.
No. Here's what's simply not good. Like, for example, you don't like Ahsoka generally. So that's why you're extra trashy in her episodes, because you don't even give really fuck about her anymore to begin with. Exactly. You never really did. Dooku, you kind of did. But let's be fair. You're not the biggest fan of the fucking prequels either. Okay? But I would say if there's a character you kind of liked, Dooku is one of them. Okay?
He's one of my favorites.
But you like a 5-year-old, okay, that wants to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop. You don't want to lick it 30 fucking times. You just want to bite it and get to the fucking center. So if that's the argument you're going to keep making, I want the center of the Tootsie Pop and I don't want to lick it, then I'm going to keep saying, shut the fuck up and lick it. Or you know what? Get a different fucking candy.
Okay, that's how about you tell me when I get to the center of the Tootsie Pop, okay? Because that's all they've ever done is tease the Tootsie Pop, and I've never gotten the goddamn Tootsie Pop, all right? It's fucking annoying.
The best part about it is the way his voice changed. They changed the Tootsie Pop.
Yeah, why the fuck did you say it like that?
Because it's the truth.
The Tootsie Pop.
God,
I love this. I love it.
I want to explore some of these characters and some of the stuff that I find so. It's like if they were like, oh, let's do something about Darth Bane, but let's not see him.
Hey, you better hope Dave Filoni doesn't touch it.
Hold on, guys. Newsflash. Mm-hmm. The Goldman says The Last Jedi is so good.
Are we having a Last Jedi debate on here? Can we have the returning episode of Goffman? He's Goffman now. He's not Goldman. He's Goffman.
To be fair,
we're not talking about
you brought up Luke and The Last Jedi. You brought it up.
I made sure to calm down. Hold on. In my defense, I made sure to stay quiet because I recognized that, the subconscious part of me came out and was like, okay, I did it again. I apologize. All right. For the record.
I will accept your apology.
I appreciate that.
And you will be punished by
Matt McFat says, shut the fuck up and lick it. Riz line of the year.
I might use that. Star Wars only. I cannot wait for May 8th when you're in denial about how mediocre the Empire was. And then as we go along with the show, you're going to be like, maybe I don't like this show.
Well, I knew I didn't like Tales of the Jedi. I knew I didn't like Tales of the Jedi, but Lunga kind of has explained it to me why I don't like it now.
It doesn't mean you don't like it, though. It's still valid if you didn't like it. I agree with Lunga's point. It's the way it went about the format. Yeah.
The only reason I push back is when you give they shouldn't have done this, they should have done this. When it's like, well, what you want is not a vignette.
I guess that all comes down to verbiage, right? We should be saying, I would have preferred if they had done this instead.
Right, but this is the thing, and if, I know people hate when they're saying it. Then these are the things you don't watch. That
Star Wars fan, I watch it, good or bad.
I don't like the fucking I keep forgetting. It starts with an R2. I keep forgetting every single time. It's not Rebellion
or
Resistance.
Oh,
I don't want to watch that shit. That's definitely not for me. Okay,
I still have not watched.
I don't watch it. Guess what else I don't like?
Get it?
Fucking, I don't like Star Wars fucking Lego. Fuck that shit. Okay, you guys think it's great. I can't fucking stand Star Wars Lego. Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm not gonna sit here and argue. What the shit? How can you even say it's good? What's the matter with you? That shouldn't even be in Star Wars. They shouldn't even have done that. No, go fucking watch it then. I'm not gonna watch it.
I'll say that because you fuckers made me watch this show. All right.
No, we made you watch.
No,
part of the obligation.
No. We didn't make you watch that show. You want to be a part of this show. Therefore, you need to be informed.
I thought about working late tonight. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Oh no, we would have been me, you, the chat, Longo. We would have been waiting all night for your ass to get home, clock out, and everything. You could have done it at work. We would have been patient, sir. Before we wrap up the show, give this series a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, Tales of the Jedi. Lunga, you like it more than us? What would you give it?
I mean, like, again, what are we what is the scale we're ranking? Not the scale. What are we comparing this to? Are we just saying just as itself, the show?
Yeah, as itself, not comparing it to, because I do think you can compare this to like a Visions or even Clone Wars in terms of what you like more and everything.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, they're vastly different shows. So
yeah, I mean, again, if I look at the show for what its intended purpose was, which is to give us snapshots of these two characters' lives, to give us a more in-depth character-driven story of how they got to where they were, or how they survived or didn't survive certain events, it succeeded in that. So for those two, if you're a fan of those characters and you enjoyed seeing that kind of stuff, it did its job. So I would say, if I go with that scale, I would say it was about a 7. Now, execution of it, okay, the story with the tiger was a little boring to me. It felt a lot like, did I need Anakin Skywalker as a little kid? Okay. The first episode of the Ahsoka one was the Phantom Menace to me. It's like, did we really need all this? I can get the character story without going
Duel of the Fates.
without going that early on. You know what I mean? Maybe her is a little bit older and I didn't have to go that far back, So the execution in some spots kind of failed. I would say, to your point, the first episode of the Dooku one, the story, the repetition wasn't a problem. The story was kind of bleh. Okay. So bleh that because it was the first one, it didn't, like the Ahsoka one. It was, if you don't stick through it, it wasn't going to engage me. So the execution lacked a little bit. So with that, it ends up at about a 6 total.
All right, actually, you're a little harsher than I thought you would be. I thought 7 would be a fair rating from you.
Well, if the execution was better, it would have been the 7 to an 8.
It's firm but fair. Palpatine's doom and gloom us, brother. What can you give me?
4.
Damn, it's pretty low. I'd give it a
fucking no. Before you rate it, will you ever watch this series ever fucking again? Star Wars only.
Yeah, I've watched it like.
By the way, I could sit here and listen to his voice with that picture all day.
I might turn my camera off and just leave that because it's never the emotions. It's all there. It's not changing.
It's just
all right.
The pouty face. He's like, I'm tired of this Lucasfilm shit.
I'm mad. All right, I am very mad at Star Wars right now. Okay.
I would love all you guys out there.
Entire show.
How many of you would buy a shirt with this on it? Let us know. How many of you would buy a shirt?
I'd rock that shit because I remember that person. That's me. I like that person.
I will immediately put it to the presses if you guys want to buy the shirt with that.
Members only, though.
Palpatine and me have switched arcs entirely because I used to really be anti Star Wars like in 2019, 2020, and mostly after Last Jedi. I think. God damn, it so many years ago now.
Yeah, and you see, now, new viewers of this show would benefit from vignettes of Palpa-memes from 3-4 years ago.
We should make like a compilation of me because, like, guys, I went back and watched our Book of Bob episodes, and I couldn't stop cringing at myself. I was like, oh gosh, I was.
Why do you think I never show my face?
Yeah, God help you. I go back sometimes, like my old tweets will pop up because like a bot will like it or something. I'm like, I was a fucking idiot. I was a shill.
No,
I would say like on paper, I was a shill that didn't get paid back in those days. I shilled for everything. I tried. I wanted the press. I wanted all of it. I didn't get any of it, all right? I put a fucking billboard up in New York City on the NASDAQ tower in the middle of fucking Times Square for crying out loud, all right? Times have changed.
Cool, though. I mean,
it was cool.
we have some important questions. We have some important questions coming up. So first of all, Matt McFat does say Weeps Palp merch I'd buy. But he did also ask, when will we get VTuber only? Now here's the thing, guys. So this little image I said, this is actually a design for the emojis for the members stuff that I got. This is the Palpa memes emoji. So and there is a only emoji in the works. That will be a weeb version of only, if you will.
Reveal.
So it's not really a face reveal because no one's gonna be able to look at that cartoon and pick them out from a crowd. But that's the closest you guys will get to seeing only. And perhaps we could use that in place of your logo from now on.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, there's only a couple of. I mean, you guys know what I look like, but there's only a couple people, and if you really ever want to see me or meet me and like see what I look like, you'd have to go to Celebration pretty much because that's the only time
Yeah.
I think you'd ever be able to. But like the guys, friends of the show, all new nerds and everything, Levi and all them, like they met me and they said in their podcast, were like, yeah, we met Star Wars only at Celebration. You know, he was a handsome guy, but he came up and was like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I don't know you, fuck you. And that's exactly what I did. So if you meet
Especially
me,
fuck you.
yeah.
What the fuck do I turn this around?
You know, Pal Memes, you can send this to us and we can get this into the show instead of you.
Yeah.
Trial and error.
That's right. Down
He-
Times
he-
Square,
he
New
likes-
York. Huh? Dear
Look,
Lucasfilm, Race
I
Galaga series win.
I commend your effort. I just don't commend the character that you chose to focus this on.
It got me death threats from fans of Rey.
Here. Do me a favor, real quick.
Reylos.
Peppa Memes.
No!
Peppa Memes. Give out a
move
yell,
it?
please. Give out a yell.
Yeah. Hey, you know what?
Oh, that's
Fine.
beautiful.
You can't stop me there.
Ain't no stopping us now.
Oh,
All right,
I
before we
missed-
wrap
I
up the
missed that.
series or the fucking episode, I give the series a 5 out of 10. Longa, do you have the calendar, sir?
Yeah, of course I do. Of course I do. What do you think this is? You think this is a mom and pop organization here?
You think it's how I run things, where it's last minute?
Yeah, Star Wars
A
only.
rinky dink
You
organization.
didn't send the topics, okay? So thanks.
Oh, sorry about that. Didn't know I needed
Yeah,
to give
I
you
was
the
like,
topics
all right,
on
I
the
guess we're
6
just going into this
episodes on the
blind.
series. Yeah, I got
I
you.
was prepared.
See, and I remembered. But
Oh my
before
gosh,
we
guys,
wrap
we're
up
doing
today's
Bad Batch
show-
again. Oh, I don't want to do that.
Yes,
It's the finale.
So excited.
It's the
I
finale.
am so excited. Next week,
I watched the
May
latest
1st.
episode today too.
I'm still on the one about Rampart and they're like getting him out of jail or something like that. But next week, May 1st, this might be my most anticipated Chatooine episode ever. Even more so than when we returned, more so than when Brendan Wayne was on the show, or any of the big things that we've done in the past couple of years. The final episode of Bad Batch is coming out May 1st.
We need a
Series
celebration.
finale. I think we need to have a Star Wars celebration of our own, a convention out here in Orlando at the convention center to commemorate the end of the Bad Batch series. This has been going on since we started the show, mind you. 'Cause didn't it come out in
guys,
2020?
we have tried so hard not to talk about this fucking show. It's like, it's kind of amazing. We have tried so hard to just avoid it.
It has not been easy either. But yes, next week, Wednesday, May 1st, we're going over the last Bad Batch episode, and I couldn't be happier, and I couldn't be prouder of us to, actually make it to this point in our life. But May 8th, we're reviewing the new Tales of the Empire series that's dropping on May 4th, and May 15th, we'll be ranking all these Star Wars animated shows that have come out. I think that's going to be an interesting episode. And then after that, we're going to start hyping up the Acolyte. We're getting the Acolyte series, I think, in June. I think it's like the first week of June. So towards like the end of May and everything, we're going to start building up to that. So we'll be covering the Sith and the Rule of Two and building up to the show release of the Acolyte. I'm excited for this month of May. We got a lot of stuff in the world of Star Wars going on. Bad Batch ends, Tales of Empires drops on May 4th. The Acolyte's around the corner, and we'll be here every Wednesday night for it. And we got channel memberships coming to you soon. So it's gonna be
I do want to say one thing. Have you seen the cope going on the internet about how it's happening, guys? It's the end of the story of the clones. This is it. All these years, the Clone Wars. I'm
I've
like,
seen that.
bro, really?
It's been 15 years, like 20 at this point, honestly. Because again, the Attack of the Clones came out.
Well, no, but they act like it's been 15 years nonstop of clone storytelling. That's not what's been going on.
Yeah, it's been kind of inconsistent. I mean, we had the Clone Wars, then it stopped, and then it came back in 2020, and then we got Bad Batch next. So I mean, I'm fine with it coming to an end.
And I know it was called the Clone Wars, and they had stuff about the clones, but it wasn't. It was about Obi-Wan and fucking Anakin. Okay, let's be fucking real here, because that's what the Clone Wars was actually about. They gave us some stories about the clones, but it wasn't a show about the clones. That's what Bad Batch is.
And the real clones were the friends we made along the way.
There we go.
Well, thanks for tuning into this week's episode, everybody. Tune in next week for the final episode of Bad Batch ever on Chatooine. We'll never do another episode on Bad Batch on here again. So please leave a like and enjoy today's episode. Subscribe to see more content for us. Be sure to tune in next week for more Chatooine. We'll see you next time, and may the Force be with you always.